My piano teacher accused me of cheating because I played songs by ear instead of reading sheet music. Mrs. Patterson had been teaching piano for 30 years and believed there was only one correct way to learn. When I'd sit down and play melodies I'd heard on the radio, she'd slam the piano lid shut and demand I stick to the beginner books. "Real musicians read music," she'd say, tapping her conductor's baton against my knuckles. "What you're doing isn't piano playing, it's just noise." During my weekly lessons, she'd cover the keys with a cloth and make me identify notes on paper for the entire hour. When I asked to actually play something, she'd roll her eyes and assign more theory homework. Other kids got to play actual songs while I sat there memorizing scales. The harassment got worse every week. She'd position herself right behind me during lessons, ready to correct my improper hand position the second my fingers moved naturally. If I accidentally played something that sounded good, she'd make me stop and explain exactly which page in the method book taught that technique. "You're not following the curriculum," she'd snap. "How do you expect to advance to intermediate pieces if you can't master the basics properly?" But I was mastering them. I could play everything in her books perfectly after hearing it once. The problem was I'd add my own style, little flourishes that made the boring exercises sound actually musical. The breaking point came during our spring recital preparation. While other students struggled through "Mary Had a Little Lamb," I played a jazz arrangement of the same song I'd learned from YouTube. Nothing crazy, just some swing rhythm and minor seventh chords. Mrs. Patterson stopped me mid-song in front of 20 other students and parents. "This is exactly what's wrong with today's generation," she announced. "No discipline, no proper training, just shortcuts and showing off." She made me restart using only her basic arrangement, but I couldn't help myself. My fingers automatically added the jazzy chords I'd learned. It was like asking someone not to breathe. "That's it," she declared. "You're clearly getting help at home or cheating somehow. No 8-year-old plays like that naturally." The other parents started whispering. Some looked confused, others seemed impressed by what they'd heard. Mrs. Patterson noticed the murmuring and got even angrier. "This kind of behavior disrupts the entire learning environment," she continued. "When students think they can just ignore proper technique, it sets a dangerous precedent." She called my mom that night, insisting I was being coached by a professional and lying about my skill level. She threatened to ban me from the recital unless I could prove I learned everything from her books. "Your son is undermining 30 years of proven teaching methods," she told my mother. "Either he follows my curriculum exactly or he finds another teacher." My mom scheduled a meeting with Mrs. Patterson and the music school director. The next day, Mrs. Patterson brought her evidence, recordings of my playing that she claimed were too advanced for my age and lessons. "Listen to this," she told the director, playing back my jazz arrangement. "This child is clearly being taught by someone else. It's undermining my entire teaching method and confusing the other students." She had prepared a whole presentation about proper musical development and the dangers of allowing students to skip foundational steps. She even brought charts showing the correct progression from beginner to intermediate pieces. The director listened carefully, then asked Mrs. Patterson a simple question. "Can you play what he just played?" She scoffed. "Of course, I have 30 years of experience. This is basic intermediate jazz, nothing a properly trained pianist can't handle." She sat at the piano and attempted my jazz version. 5 minutes later, she was still struggling with the chord progressions, hitting wrong notes and getting visibly frustrated. Her hands looked stiff and uncomfortable with the syncopated rhythm. The director turned to me. "Can you show us how you learned this?" I sat down and played the basic melody first, then slowly added each jazz element, explaining how I heard the progressions in my head and felt where my fingers should go. I demonstrated how the same chords worked in different songs, how you could feel the music wanting to move in certain directions. Mrs. Patterson's face went from confident to confused to embarrassed as she watched an 8-year-old demonstrate musical concepts she couldn't replicate. The director made his decision immediately. "Mrs. Patterson, perhaps it's time you learned from your student instead of limiting his natural talent." I was transferred to the advanced jazz program the next week, where my new teacher called my ear training exceptional and encouraged me to keep playing by feel. Mrs. Patterson requested early retirement that same month.